Good evening, everybody. It's Justin here from Burren, and I just want to give you an update as to what's happening, not necessarily within Burren, but also basically on all GA circumstances at the moment, because there's a lot of conjecture, a lot of confusion, and hopefully I should be in a situation where I can bring a bit of clarity as to what the actual the situation is at the moment. I was away last week, so as you know, this Friday night is the start of the All County Premier League within Down. There's some cracking matches are going to take place. 7:30 Friday night: Clonduff versus Kilcoo, Warren Point versus Bryansford, Ballyholland versus Carryduff, and then Loughlin Island host Burren. And then there's a challenge game between Ross Trevor and Mayo Bridge. Now, there's a number of different queries coming in as to what is the situation with regards to the spectators. Well, I've had a number of discussions today with GA, and the current situation is that there will be no spectators allowed to any games within the 6 counties for the foreseeable future. The committee that makes the decisions on these particular issues are meeting tomorrow, but there's an expectation they will not make an announcement until next Monday. So as we see it at the moment, it's my understanding that any of the league games that are taking place this Friday night or any other game in any code within the GA, no spectators are allowed. So what does that mean for clubs that are playing? Well, in essence, the only people that can actually attend, or the only people that can get within the wire of the field, are the 15 players that start, 9 subs, and 5 officials. So there's 1 Bannister, 1 Mayor Forna, 2 medics, and 1 other club official. Now, the actual size of the panel doesn't really matter. But what does matter is that there can be 9 subs inside the field at any time. If they want to take in more people from outside of the field, they have to put people from the field behind the wire. So that's at present. What other things are happening? Well, there are no water carriers. There will be a water break between the 15th and the 20th minute of each half. And that's currently the situation. That differs from what's happening down south at present. We're in a situation where, at the moment, in the Republic, there are 200 spectators allowed to each match. And hopefully we should be in a situation where we can get a bit more clarity on that next Monday. Now, there are a number of reasons why that's actually happening, and you will probably have seen on the news over the last number of weeks, some issues regarding some people testing positive for COVID within the club scene. There's been a couple of instances in Down. You'll see what happened in West Cork. You'll also see what's happening in some of the clubs in Dublin as well. The GA have been very, very specific, and the latest guidance came out last night. And in essence, what they're saying is that if a player, match, or team official displays any positive symptoms, they have to refrain from further activities, and the following steps need to be taken. They need to go to their GP, who will arrange a triage and test. If they test negative, there's no further action required, but that individual, be they a player or official, cannot resume activity until all symptoms they haven't had any symptoms for 48 hours. If they do test positive, we're then in the realms of basically the public health authority taking over, because contact tracing needs to take place, and the public health authorities will actually determine as to who has been a close or who's been a casual contact. And that's where all of the essence. If you're deemed a close contact, you will be tested. You will undergo active follow-up from the public health authorities. You will be contacted every day, and you will avoid all travel. There will be no real GA involvement until medical assessment and there's a full clearance to return to play. If you have been a casual contact of somebody who's tested positive, there will be a passive follow-up for a 14-day period, and you will be advised about the risk. Any symptoms within that time, you contact your GP. So in terms of GA involvement, as normal, as long as everybody is symptom-free. So that's essentially where we are at the moment. So just to summarize, we are in a situation where we will be resuming competitive games within Down GA this weekend. As it stands at present, there are no spectators allowed, bar the individual. We would ask all people who follow the teams just to adhere to that, just to help the clubs out, because there's a lot going on in terms of making sure the social distancing and all the cleanliness are taking place regarding COVID-19 as well. And that's essentially it from the point of view of where we are with the GA. Hopefully we'll be in a position where we can get to a place where we will have spectators from early next week. As it stands, there's still no change regarding other facilities within club buildings. Dressing rooms continue to remain closed, and that again will be looked at over the coming weeks. Gyms continue to remain closed. If you have a social club, we're in a situation where, as long as there's appropriate social distancing adhered to, we will get to a place where we should be able to, we will be open up from next Monday. So I hope that's clear from where, because it took me a while to get to an understanding as to what the situation actually is. But that's where we are from a GA point of view. So best wishes to everybody who's taking part in competitive football this weekend. In terms of anything else that's happening, again, the only thing I would say is to say I was off away last week, and I'm just back. I did mention that we had the young Charlie Rafferty who shaved his head for charity on his 10th birthday. And we got a final tally through as to what he raised for Southern Area Hospice. And I'm delighted to say that Charlie raised £1,300. And again, that's in aid of the Uri Hospice and in memory of his grandfather, who availed of the services of the hospice some years ago. Other than that, there's fantastic work going on in the community. It's great to see the men's shed within Burren really actively taking part in a lot of activities, appropriately adhering to all of the social distancing that are required. And you can see that our community area is blooming with flowers, and we'd like to thank everybody involved from the men's shed Burren chapter. Anybody over the age of 18 is very welcome along. They are meeting at the moment, and all the meetings are taking place outside, but essentially that's where we are. So other than that, that's me for this week. Thanks for your time. I hope we were clear from the point of view of where we are with regards to all GA processes, and we will give you updates once we get together again next week. Okay, back to you, Carl.
Justin, it's Damien here.
How are you?
How are you? Not so bad.
Good.
Just a wee question in relation to how you're going to place the no spectators at the match at the weekend, because it has been a bone of contention out here, and I'm sure all around everywhere you go, because I mean you can stand in the field next, look over the ditch and watch the match, but you can't stand and watch a match in the confines of a Gaelic ground. So where do you stand on that? And as the chairman, how does Burren feel about that?
I'd love to be able to say we could actually apply a bit of common sense to the whole process. And I suppose that the situation that we're trying to look at this is that if we don't apply the letter of the law, you're going to be in a situation where you're jeopardizing the safety of a lot of different people. It's not only with senior football, Damien. If you look at the situation, we have a number of underage football games taking place this weekend. And again, if you have parents dropping kids off, again, from a it's very difficult for them to say, listen, right, drop your child off at the gate, come back in an hour and a half's time. They want to be around for their children. It is very, very difficult. I was hoping that we would be in a situation that once that the COVID committee up on the executive met tomorrow, that they would actually make an announcement that would actually help not only GA but also the soccer and rugby as well to basically to sort this out. I have been led to believe that it's looking like they're not going to make that announcement until next Monday. So we're going to have to wait and see. We have a senior football game. As I said, we're not hosting this weekend. It's Loughlin Island, but we are hosting a senior ladies football game on Saturday night, and we will have to apply the rule.
But Justin, we're in the same boat. We're away on Sunday, but we have a girls' match, our senior ladies match on Saturday evening. And, if somebody comes down and they decide, look, I want to go in and drive the car and I'm going to sit in the car and watch the match, how can you stop somebody? Do you stand in front of them and say, no, you can't come in? It's against the rules.
Well,
because I know, but you see, this will have a detrimental effect on club members and club supporters, because if you stop a club supporter coming in, and all they're going to do is sit in the car, and what harm are they doing? To be truthful and to be fair, what harm are they doing? I mean, how ridiculously stupid is all this? When you can go into a pub and you can stand in a pub, you can go to bingo, you can go to the cinema, you can go to the swimming pool, you can go to the chapel, but you can't go and stand in a field.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't want to go into the reasons as to why I think the executive are dragging their feet on this. I think you may know what I'm talking about. It's a bit of tit for tat. It is having an impact on what's happening from a GA point of view. But I suppose the one thing that we've always cried out for from the GA is clear and defined a direction. And to be fair to them, where possible, they've been able to give us that. But I get it. I know that there's going to be issues and there will be challenges, because you'll have a lot of football pitches as well that will be adjoined to community centres and on the same car park. So there's going to be a lot of grey areas.
I mean, we can stand in Vinci Lowe's garden. We took the ditch away. The ditch is where there's a nice fence up on it. So we can stand in Vinci Lowe's garden and watch the match, but we can't stand in like two inches the other side of the fence to be on our own property. I suppose the only thing that I can say, Justin, a famous Irishman once said, "Laws are made for the obedience of fools and the guidance of wise men."
That's it. It's not the younger ones I'm worried about. It's the guys that are over the guys and ladies over the age of 80, 85 who basically will be hard challenges at the gates. There's no doubt about it. One of the things that a lot of the clubs are going to be looking at as well, we will be looking at, because no matter, even when we have spectators allowed back into the venues, we're going to be limited on numbers. And when it comes to championship time, we're going to have we're going to have to pick and choose as to who can actually go to the games, which is going to be a very, very difficult. That's even going to be more difficult, believe you me. So
listen.
One of the things that we will be doing is, sorry, go ahead, Damien. Go ahead.
I think good sense will have to prevail. I mean, if the executive are going to be tit for tat with some of these stupid things that they're doing, I think then that they need to catch themselves on. Absolutely. And at the end of the day, I have no issue with somebody standing in a big field on their own, within their own group, and away from other people watching the match. I don't see how that can be detrimental to anything when you look at what went on this week and go into pubs at the weekend. I mean, how did a drunk man or a drunk woman be social distance? It's absolutely ridiculous. And I just think that this is, we've had loads of time for this to be sorted, and I think it's shocking coming right up until the game start this weekend that we're still none the wiser from it. It's somebody says you can't go to the swimming pool. Okay, well, we're not going to the swimming pool. Declan McAteer says you can't go to the swimming pool. Good man, Declan. At least Declan's watching it. So thanks for that, Declan. But it's just one of those silly things that you scratch your head, and if you'd heard, we'd be pulling it out. But lucky enough, we don't have that problem. Well,
just to let you know that Declan McAteer is a club member of Burren, and he will be on the gate on Saturday night at the ladies' game. So he will be making sure that nobody gets in. All right.
Good man, Declan. Something? I might just drive down there for that.
Do that for the crack, yeah. The one thing I would say, though, Damien, is that, as I mentioned, with the championship games coming up, we are looking at the technology to see what we can do in terms of some live streaming as well. Well,
and Armagh's lucky enough that they have that facility, and I think down at that facility too, at the Destination Uri, stream matches, down championship matches. But at the same time, I've just noticed other counties are doing the same. Justin, I've seen Roscommon's doing it, I've seen Galway's doing it as well, and Tipperary's doing it as well. They're going to be streaming. I suppose that's they're slow learners down south for this sort of stuff, but at least they're getting there. And that's one option. But as the GAA always say, there's nothing beats being there.
You're right.
So listen,
the one thing I'll finally say, sometimes common sense is not too common sometimes. All right.
That's for sure. Listen, Justin, thanks a million, and good talking to you.
All right.
And good luck at the weekend.